Hi again, everybody, and welcome to our first Bengals training camp report for 2021. I'm Dan Hoard alongside former Bengal Dave Lapham. It's great to have you with us, and our training camp reports are brought to you, as always, by Medical Mutual, the official health insurer of the Cincinnati Bengals. Lap, we are going to see a lot of footage today from the Bengals' first practice from training camp. They were out there today from about 3 o'clock to just a little bit shy of 5 o'clock. 91-degree temperatures. The heat index was 98, and obviously all eyes were on number 9, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Dan, the weather brought back a lot of training camp memories to me. I remember losing 16 pounds in one practice and cramping like a son of a gun. It was crazy. But, yeah, number 9, Joe Burrow, it was very interesting. In a lot of the team portion of practice today, he was under center quite a bit. They weren't as worried about, traffic around him. There were backs in the backfield. He was under center. They were trying to get a little push in the pocket around him, trying to get him used to that type of feel. But looking at Joe Burrow, Dan, and when we saw him at the presser earlier in the day today, he's rocked up. I mean, he's hit the weight room, and it's very, very obvious that his overall body composition is redone. He's about the same weight, but his muscle mass is a lot bigger, and he's a lot leaner. And really his footwork, he changed a little bit of his footwork, Dan. We can see there when he follows through, he's more on the side of his foot. He's giving more surface to torque off of, and he feels like that has increased the velocity on his football, and his teammates certainly do agree. But, you mentioned it, even in OTAs, how he was rolling right and rolling left. He did a lot of that today. He's 100%. He's fully cleared, and he feels darn good, Dan.
The drills we're seeing right here were early in practice. They were not competing against the defense, but as practice progressed, they did. Unlike OTAs, they did 7-on-7 work today. They did 11-on-11 work today. So They dove right into it. Obviously, they're not in full pads yet, but they were practicing full squad offense versus defense.
And they were. And like I said, he was under center in that 11-on-11 against the defense, taking snaps. And if there were a negative, I guess, that I would try to point out would be the fact that there were too many footballs on the ground. There were some missed center quarterback exchanges. In about 35 offensive snaps, offense against defense, the ball was on the ground from center to quarterback, not just Joe Burrow, but quarterbacks in total 2 or 3 times. And there must have been 5 or 6 fumbles overall in those 35 plays. So, ball security was a little bit of an issue, not a shock, the first practice for that to be the case, but you'd like to see a little bit better ball security than that. But, yeah, he got a good taste of things. Again, like you said, Dan, it's it's underwear ball. They don't have any shoulder pads on, but they were going through the pass rush moves, getting a little push. But Joe Burrow, they should put a red cross on that jersey because nobody wants to touch him. Put a big red cross on there and say, keep away. If you're near Joe Burrow, pull up. You don't want to see anything silly happen. But I think he was getting a pretty good feel for, operating in the pocket with some people in his face, his vision impaired a little bit. It was pretty good work today for Joe Burrow.
So Joe suffered his injury in the 10th game of the year last year. That was in late November. One of the centers he was working with today, Trey Hopkins, suffered his ACL injury in the final game of the year, early January. So it's only been about 6 months for him, and yet he is 100% good to go and will be in the mix to potentially start on opening day against the Vikings.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, that's a big tribute right there, a testament to hard work. And this is Joe Burrow's big target right here, Jamar Chase, Dan, one of his best friends. And they made beautiful music together in 2019, 1,780 yards, 20 touchdowns. What? Still SEC records. And Jamar Chase is an interesting guy to watch. He's very, very strong. And the route that the technique he uses, Dan, that I saw, it's going to be tough for any defensive back. He'll run down the football field and jump at the defensive back, leave his feet, both feet, land right in front of the defensive back, totally balanced with his hips sunk. He can go left or right equally well. And, man, that's a tough move. And when he's that low, he's so strong when he comes out of his break. He's very physical. You can see he's very square and strong in the lower body, and he's a physical guy. And when they run screen passes to him, notice today when he catches those screen passes, he's like a running back with the ball in his hands. The fun just starts there, and he's a good route runner. He can sink his hips and get in and out of cuts and create separation. And Jamar Chase he's legit. He is the real deal. And Joe Burrow talks about his football intelligence. When Joe Burrow, who's probably about as smart football IQ wise as I've come across, talks about another player being smart, I listen.
That catch came with number 22 in coverage. 22 is one of the new free agents they signed this past offseason, Chidobe Awuzie, who came from the Dallas Cowboys. Coverage was pretty good there, even though Jamar Chase made the catch. But I would say in general today, Lap, one of the biggest observations that I saw was that the coverage generally was good by the defensive backs. Joe Burrow's completion percentage was very high because the routes were short, and it's not the type of a pass that's typically incomplete. But we're not talking about wide open guys. The coverage was consistently there, at least in my opinion.
I agree with you, Dan. It wasn't like it seemed like every play across the board, you didn't see anybody running jailbreak wide open. There were battles going on everywhere, and that's a good sign. And really, there's an upgrade in the secondary, an upgrade in the wide receiver position, they think, in the organization. And it kind of showed itself today. I mean, there were good battles. And when you have battles like that, I can remember, Kenny Riley talking about, man, if I can cover Isaac Curtis during the course of the week, my game day is a lot easier than trying to cover that son of a gun, or another Lewis Breeden talking about, if I can cover Chris Collinsworth, a high percentage of the time during the week, I'm going to be fine during the game on Sunday. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for really good competitive battles, all week long in practice. And that makes game day so much easier and so much better for everybody. So, yeah, I thought today was really, really good competition. And, offense won some, defense won some, and that's what you're looking for. You don't want to see a one-sided affair one way or the other. It was good football, good battle today.
Number 20, we just saw there is Eli Apple, another of the free agent cornerbacks that the Bengals signed in the offseason, a former first-round draft pick out of Ohio State. Hasn't had the NFL career that he hoped to have to this point, but obviously a guy with a lot of natural talent. And it's so important to have depth in the secondary, as we have seen year after year after year, because they are smaller guys tackling bigger guys. They typically get injured during the course of the season. You need to have depth at cornerback.
No question, Dan. You can never have enough good cover corners. I mean, I don't care how many you have. You always want one more. That's just the nature of the beast. I mean, it's a highly necessary position, particularly in today's NFL, when people are going, 3 wides is an every down thing. It's 4 and 5 a lot of times. They're going 5 wides, no running backs, just 5 linemen, a quarterback, and 5 wide receivers. And you got to match up. You got to get it done. So you can never have enough good corners out there. And Lou Anarumo, who cut his teeth as a secondary coach, he's hands-on with those cornerbacks. And so you have a defensive coordinator, you have position coaches in the defensive backfield. These guys are getting a lot of attention. They're getting a lot of good coaching. So, and they're veteran players. It's not like they haven't seen things in the National Football League before, but they haven't played together. So, some of it, Dan, is unlearning terminology, learning the terminology that the Bengals call things, because structurally, there's only so many things. There's not like 18 million coverages that you can run out there. There's a core group of coverages, and then you do some nuance subtleties off of that, but it's just the terminology. People call it different things. So that's the thing, is just understanding the language of what each coach calls their particular packages.
So now we're getting a look at the Bengals offensive line. You spent a lot of time today watching offensive line coach Frank Pollock put these guys through drills. Obviously, they're working with Joe Burrow and the other quarterbacks right here. I believe that's Trey Hopkins about to snap it back to him. We might pick up Frank Pollock in the upper corner at some point, looking on and offering tidbits. But what did you see as you studied Frank Pollock today?
I had a flashback to Jim McNally. I mean, Frank Pollock is a Jim McNally disciple. And when I was watching all the drills that the offensive line was doing, I spent a lot of time down there watching it. His mantra is master the mundane. And that's what Jim McNally, who in my opinion was as good a line coach as ever coached, Frank Pollock has that mentality. The same footwork every single day, every single snap of every single practice, the same footwork, the same technique in terms of hand placement. I want heavy hands, and I want them placed in a certain spot. Target. On this play, if it's the left shoulder, you target that left shoulder. If it's the right hip, you target that right hip. And he does pass protection drills, getting his head and shoulders back and getting the strong, heavy hands out there and jamming people. And they're going up and down, hitting pads up and down the line. that's a Jim McNally drill. I mean, watching those drills, and we did them every single day from mini camp to the last practice before the Super Bowl. And Frank Pollock's going to do the same thing with these players from mini camp and OTAs all the way until when their last practice is. And I hope that's before the Super Bowl.
We're going to see some special teams work now, and one of the things that they worked on today was trying to strip the ball. Obviously, this is a team that did not force enough turnovers in general last year, defense or special teams. They were working on that with various drills throughout practice today.
Yeah, and it's a two-way street. It's a double-edged sword. It's like you're working on causing them, defensively, and then you're working on ball security, offensively a little bit. And special teams, if you can force a turnover on special teams, Dan, it's like, oh man, the offense went 1, 2, 3 and out, and the punt team punts the football, and they strip the returner, and you get the ball back right away with unbelievable field position. Are you kidding me? You talk about a turning point potentially in a football game. If your special teams can create, 1 or 2 of those huge turnovers that creates a short field during the course of the season in close football games that give you that edge, because that's the difference in a 6-10. Now it's going to be 7-10, 7-10 season, or a 10-7 season is turnovers in close games. I mean, in a game that's decided by a touchdown or less, one turnover can be the play that determines the fate of the winner and the loser in that football game. So you can never work on it enough. And Darren Simmons is as good as there is in the National Football League. And you talk about a guy that masters the mundane, teaches technique every single practice over and over again, from practice number 1 to practice number 1001. Darren Simmons is your guy. And it becomes, muscle memory, Dan. It's second nature. You don't even think about it. So you can never say to, one of these coaches that have that philosophy, oh, I took a bad step. Well, why the heck did you take a bad step? This is only, our 4,000th practice. You've been taking that step every single practice. Why'd you take that terrible step during the course of the game? That's what we worked on all this time, so you won't make that mistake, physical mistake and mental mistake. So that's what they're looking for is, repetition breeds comfort level, breeds excellence performance, and these coaches all believe that.
We see number 26 on the screen right now, or did moments ago, and there he is again. That's Trey Wayne's. Great to have him back in uniform and practicing. Obviously, a key free agent signing a year ago, missed the entire season after tearing a pectoral muscle lifting weights prior to last year, and the Bengals are counting on him to hopefully be their shutdown cornerback this season.
And when you look at him, Dan, look at how he's a big corner. Look at how long his arms are. Looks like he can tie his shoes without bending over. I mean, he's got length. He's got some strength. He's a big body corner. He can sink his hips. He's got hip flexibility. I mean, he's a really good player. And what is it with these pectoral injuries? Trey Wayne's last year, then this year lose Adeniji, then lose the 7th round pick Hubert for the season with a torn pec. What's going on? I don't know if these guys are trying to bench press the world or what, but man, got to ease up on these torn pectorals. It's nuts.
And here are some of the drills we were referring to earlier where you can see the defensive player trying to punch the ball away from behind.
Yeah, and really,
it, right?
Absolutely. And for the offensive player, they're loosey-goosey there. Offensively, high and tight. You always hear coaches high and tight. Get it up there high and get it in tight, your arm. You don't want to be lax and loose with the arm and give a defensive player or a special teams player an opportunity to reach in there and punch it right out of there. Those kind of things can be devastating, and it gets contagious. I mean, there's players in the league and defenses in the league that are known for punching that football out of there, boy. And you have to realize that. You have to know that's a big part of their game plan as they go into a football game and proceed accordingly.
We've mentioned special teams. I don't think we're going to see footage of this, but rookie kicker Evan McPherson, the 5th round draft pick, ended practice by kicking field goals today, went 6 for 6. The longest one was 48 yards, but great to see him get off to an excellent start in his first NFL practice.
Boy, there's no doubt, Dan. It's like he's got dynamite on his toe. I mean, the ball explodes off his toe. He has a strong leg, and it's just effortless. The whole thing is effortless on his part. I mean, he's not trying to overdo it. A lot of times kickers get in trouble trying to hit these long field goals because they're overswinging. Like in golf, you overswing, you're going to have some trouble. His is just pure. It's just effortless, and the ball explodes off his foot. He has got one strong leg.
All right, my biggest takeaway today, and I hope this doesn't change between today and tomorrow, is that I didn't see anybody get hurt, which is always what you want to see at training camp. At one point, Joseph Osai, the rookie pass rusher, went to the side, but then he had a Gatorade and seemed fine, so maybe he was cramping up, and maybe it was nothing. It certainly didn't appear to be anything serious, but nobody needed to be taken off on a cart, knock on wood, nothing bad like that. And that's always a great thing to see when you get training camp underway.
Yeah, the thing that I like that takeaway, Dan, that was a very good one. And I really liked what I saw from Joe Mixon with the stretch plays when they were running 11 on 11. Offensively, they ran the stretch a bunch. I mean, almost every single run was a stretch. And it was, some of them would cut back, some would bounce outside. And that's the beauty of that play. You know, the back reads it out, and Joe was making really quick decisions and getting up the football field, squaring his shoulder pads up the line of scrimmage and just bursting. And it was good to see that. And then it was complementary football, under center, you know, run that stretch, go under center, run the stretch, and do a naked bootleg off of it. And when you can run play action that is complementary, that's my beef with offenses in the National Football League these days. You know, they'll run their running game from under center, and then they'll get in the shotgun, and it doesn't even, their play action game looks nothing like their running game. It's so non-complementary. I like the way the Bengals' initial stages here of their running game and their play action passing portion of their passing attack was so complementary. And in the early stages, when the offense was running 11 on air, they ran a bunch of wide receiver screens that looked good to me, particularly if number one, Chase has that football coming inside, offensive linemen getting kick-out blocks, tight ends and other receivers getting blocks down the field. That looked pretty good, and they ran it a few times in their 11-on-11 team practice as well. So I like the way, you know, Zach put together the offense for the very first day of practice today.
So the Bengals will practice again on the practice fields adjacent to Paul Brown Stadium tomorrow and Friday. And then on Saturday, it's back together Saturday in the NFL. As fans, this will be your first opportunity to see the Bengals during training camp. It'll be inside of Paul Brown Stadium. Gates will open at 2. Practice begins at 3. It is free. Parking is free, but you have to have a mobile ticket to attend. Go to Bengals.com/camp for more information about that. We'll be on microphones during the course of that practice, and look forward to seeing fans in the stands at Paul Brown Stadium for practice on Saturday.
There's no doubt about that, Dan. And practice on Saturday will look a lot like this. They may have those tiny little shoulder pads. It's not even shoulder pads. It's just basically foam cushions that they have on their shoulders to prevent any type of injury if there is some sort of a hit there. But they're not in full pads. So practice will look a lot like this. It'll look a lot like this until Tuesday.
All right. It was great to be at practice today. We hope you enjoyed this training camp report. We'll be doing these a couple times a week, as always presented by Medical Mutual, the official health insurer of the Cincinnati Bengals. For Lapham and our entire crew, I'm Dan Hoard. Thanks for checking out this Bengals live training camp report.